Hello everyone and welcome back. So talking about the guided sim, the main thing that we have to be aware of is that it's much better not to provide a high-res mesh to be used as a guided mesh. It's always better to have a low-res mesh that approximates the movement that we want rather than having something super dense. So instead of using the high-res ground from the sim, the high-res geometry from the sim, what I've done is I used a point deform and I deformed my RBD sim offline. So let's see. I'm gonna untemplate everything. Yeah, the Vellum solver, I should have cached it. Okay, so I used the surface and I deformed it, the packed primitive, and I used the point deform, and this is what I have. It's much better to use this geometry as a guided sim versus the high res one. And then this needs to be unpacked, so I used an unpack node, and this is what I'm using at the moment for the guided sim. Now, the guided sim settings, what I found works best is number one, not to use high-res sim geometry. Not to use something flat. It's better to have volume, and the best method is use guided sim. So when let's create a bullet solver. So under guided sim, I found that it's always better to use the guided neighbors method, and there's two modes. It's either going to find the nearest point or the near surface, and both method give similar result. And then the distance it's going to say if a geometry is this far away from me, I'm not gonna affect it. It's also going to use that distance as a multiplier to the so the further it gets away from the guided sim, the weaker the attachment is going to be, and this makes it really nice and dynamic. And the last part is, where is it? The last part is here under simulation settings. Which one? Yes, so the last important tweaks is these three. Right now it uses linear threshold, angular threshold, but so far with my tests I wasn't able to get the geometry to break. And the idea here is once they've reached certain position, we want the guided simulation to stop guiding the RBD. I wanted it to lift the ground, get that nice distortion in, and the pulling effect, and then once it goes that high or to a certain level, I wanted it to break off and became dynamic. So the best way to get this is using the distance threshold, and right now it's set to 0.25. If we lower it, the breaking is going to happen sooner. So let's see here. So see, that's guided. It's probably going to stop very soon. Yep, there it is. It broke off and those pieces started falling down. So this is the tweaks to control that. I haven't explored the accumulated part yet, but it's totally up to you guys to decide how you want to do this. And it's very important to control this and make sure that it breaks. There's also the other rule for the end frame where you want, okay, I'm gonna define the movement for the first 50 frames and then let the sim do its thing, and that's perfectly fine as well. So as you can see, we're getting the movements that we want, and it's breaking off. And let's template the Vellum sim. And that's our wire. And there it is. That's how we would do it. Now the next thing I want to add is I'm gonna discuss this. I think I already talked about it, but it will be explored more in next week. At the moment, I'm going to cache this RBD sim up until frame 120, and then I will show another idea that we could explore as well to add more details to all of this. So I'm gonna cache this, the point transform to sim PTC, and we'll continue in the next video. Okay, thank you guys for watching, and see you in a bit.